Thank you again for having me here. So yeah, thank you guys also for coming up and be some heroes now in the morning, and also starting directly with billing early in the day. So yeah. Then, yeah, few slides are the same as just to have the overview of the project are the same as we had for workshops. So just bear with me if you already saw them, but it's just a couple of them. So yeah, a bit about our background. We are located here in Germany. We got over 8 years of experience with architecting server-side solutions in VoIP environment, just that you can imagine where are we coming from, how did we end up developing CGRateS. And we have platform implementations covering both wholesale and retail business categories. And at some point, we were really in need of real-time charging. There were some solutions out there, open source, but we found it that they were a bit intrusive. They were forcing us to like route traffic through them, or they were getting into our routing. So we decided that we start with a fresh architecture, and this is how CGRateS came up. Then about CGRateS, it's a billing engine, so not a billing system, and we keep it on purpose like that. We want to be easily pluggable into existing billing on operator side, because they invest quite some funds into their existing billing infrastructure, and we don't want to force them giving up. And on the second thought, they will not really be happy to go out from closed source business, most of them, to completely open source and risk that much. So yeah, we are happy to be able to accommodate new components into operators network, like add new VoIP switch or SMS service or data stream. And we have a target to be non-intrusive into existing setups for the exact reason we started the project. Then we have a modular architecture. All our components talk to each other via APIs, so you can replace at some point any component or just use the components which you need in your own network. Then we have JSON, HTTP, GOB, RPC APIs, and recently we got also WebSocket support. Then we are performance-oriented. Just that you have an idea, we have benchmarked, and we also offer the own tester tool. So when you install CGRateS, you can run your own estimations in terms of speed on your own tariff plans. So we have estimated internally around 190,000 requests per second calculations, and from outside, the poorest serialization we got was with JSON, and that was even from another language, from Python, we got like 5,000 requests per second. So if you need to estimate how many boxes you need. As soon as you get more than 5,000 requests per second, which are setups, not simultaneous calls, then you are in need to balance the rater. Then everything we do, it's asynchronous, so it's the miracle of Golang behind. Not much we can do about it. And this asynchronously stuff, we do it in micro-threads, so we don't suffer from the limiting of the threads. We can do like thousands of threads and should be no problem. Micro-threads, sorry. Then, we are pretty feature-rich. I had trouble in explaining even in 1 hour all our features, and the best is that you come up with features which we don't have, and we would like to hear about it. Then, we support all sorts of multi-tenancy, derived charging, account bundles, LCR, CDR stats, rates history, and so on. Very complex stuff behind. Then we are also trying to be as agile as possible in developing new features. So we are always happy when someone opens a feature request on our GitHub. Then we are driven by tests. So we got about 900 tests in our existing build system, and we target that every feature we add should be covered by tests. Then just to see, because this is very important also from the point of view of Kamailio world, is that we came up with presenting an early release in 2013 when Kamailio world started, and ever since we grew up constantly, because I think also Kamailio world was very important into our development process. So just to see that there is some pretty large code base already for a rating engine, consider that it's also written in Go, which is a bit of compressed language. So about our components, which we call them subsystems and not modules, because in Go, if you want to talk between modules or if you want to use external libraries, you need to import them into your own. You cannot use like shared libraries. So everything we do in subsystems, which they talk to each other, as I told you, via RPC calls. Then we got a rating engine. Its functionality is, of course, to calculate costs for events. It's isolated from everything else and fully cache-driven. It's referenced also from other subsystems like accounting or LCR. Then the accounting subsystem, it has as functionality to maintain accounts with balance, so it's completely separated from the rating, and there you keep things like your bundles and all sort of fraud detection at account level and all sort of triggers and so on. Then we have here this real-time fraud detection with mitigation, so you are able to react on certain patterns and like completely take actions like disable accounts, send emails, and so on. Then we support queued or scheduled operations on the account, so you can activate their balances in the future or debit money in the night, whatever. Then we got our own live CDR server with more functionalities. So the primary, of course, is to store the CDRs. So you can get the CDRs from software like Kamailio and store them inside our CDR server. You don't need to rate it. We don't force you to rate it, so you can simply use it as your CDR server for Kamailio if you want to. Then, the second functionality is to rate the CDRs, and this is done via communicating with rating subsystem, as I told you. Then it also provides the raw or rated CDRs to the CDR stats subsystem. Then, again, it can be completely standalone. It doesn't need to have anything to do with the rest of the system if you want to. Then we have the LCR subsystem, which is a pretty new functionality we added. And of course, it came naturally to the rest of the infrastructure we had. So its main functionality is to compute least cost routes. And it does it in a pretty advanced way, as I will later explain you. And depending on the strategy used, it will communicate with other subsystems. For example, find out the rating price from rating, find out bundles from accounting, find out stats from the CDR stats subsystem, and so on. Then we have the history server, which was like a pet project to us. It's a Git history server which will archive the rating changes when you do them. And it's pretty, it was not an easy task to do because you need to be pretty fast, because you can imagine you're dealing with a few thousand or few hundreds of thousands of records which need to be written and properly, because we don't write to the file system unless we need to, unless there were changes. So you need to compute all the changes online and then dump them on the disk at regular intervals so you don't lose them, and they get saved into the Git repository. Then we have the CDR-STATS subsystem, which with functionality to calculate CDR stats in real time. So in this CDR stats, you can define a number of various settings, like the number of CDR which goes into one queue. You can define for one, so the CDR will pass through various defined queues, so you don't have a limit on that, and you can process them all simultaneously for the same CDR. It's very fast. It has nothing to do with disk. We don't even support storing the stats, so it's all in memory. So, and it has the ability to take actions based on your thresholds. So it's also a way to detect fraud there. So you can, for example, calculate some metrics for customer or supplier or parts of your CDRs, and as soon as some quality-related stuff is reached, or as soon as like call duration, maximum call duration for a specific interval is reached, you can react also. And this is dedicated for the CDR, so nothing to do with the accounts. So we provide two different fraud mechanism detection in two different and independent places. Yeah, so regarding the LCR now, since it's the reason of my talk, it's internally or remotely accessible through the APR component. And again, it's non-intrusive, so it doesn't take decisions in your own routing script. The simple thing which it does, it will inject some channel, some pseudo variables into your own server, into your Kamailio server. And this is very useful because you can continue to use the LCR which you were using before, and just use information from CGRateS to combine with that. So for example, if you want to start thinking about quality and you want to use the existing LCR built in Kamailio, then you will just use parts of the tags which we set in pseudo variables, as I will show you after. Then it's also tightly coupled with accounting subsystems. And this is a pretty interesting feature because you have suppliers offering you a number of minutes for some destination, or even more complex, the number of minutes or your balances are only valid in specific time frames. So you can use the number of minutes only in weekend if you want to, and they will automatically be considered only when they are available. So let's say you have a special supplier with a bundle of 1,000 minutes available in weekend with 1 cent per minute or free or whatever. They will be calculated, they will be considered when we order the LCR, and as soon as the minutes are gone, of course, seamlessly it will go, the cost calculation will go into the next supplier available. Or even if this supplier had the bundle, but it's not weekend, it will not be considered because the bundle is not active. So it's also able to integrate traffic patterns. So if you know that you have an ACD around 5 o'clock for a specific customer of 3 minutes, you are not enforced to calculate the LCR for just 1 minute. You can ask like 2.5 minutes, what's my cheapest cost for the next 2.5 minutes from now on? And the system is able to cope with that. Then it has an advanced profile selection mechanism. So we provide filters on direction, on tenant, on category. So you can have like calls, premium calls, calls from home, calls from over roaming, and you can get different LCR based on different profile selection which you want, different settings. So in this way, as I told you, you are even able to do LCR for roaming calls versus LCR for calls when they are within your network. Then we filter more on account, we filter on subject, and we can filter on destination. And we also are able to prioritize the routes based on the matches. So if more than one profiles are matched, you can decide, the LCR will decide about which profile to use. Then we also have activation time for the profile. So you can activate your LCR rules sometimes in the future, like starting of the next month, when you know that you will get new price lists from your suppliers. Then we provide extended functionality through multiple strategies. So the way LCR will be calculated is affected by these strategies, which are static, least cost, highest cost, QoS thresholds, or QoS. I'll explain them one by one in the next slides. So this is an example of static definition. This is the classic LCR, which you just say for this prefix, I want always this order of suppliers. And you can see here that here by luck, we have ordered in the ascending cost, but it doesn't need to be, because you can see here we have defined a strategy static and the order of suppliers here. Supplier 2 should be first used and then supplier 1. And here you can see a real-time LCR query. These are just two basic parameters which you can provide, but you can also provide the timestamp, so you can query your LCR in the past or in the future. Or if you want to run a parallel LCR with other LCR systems, which you have already in your network, you can use our LCR to verify yours. Then the static is straightforward. Then lowest cost is, again, some classical LCR done based on cost. Then you can see there are no real extra parameters for it, and the system will automatically order the list of suppliers it detects based on the cost. So you can see the smallest cost was taken into consideration when the suppliers were ordered. We support unlimited number of suppliers. So as many your system will find, you will have defined in your tariff plans. We use them all. You need to limit them in your own routing if you want to. Then we also support some strategy, the highest cost. I don't know who will ever do that, but it's there. Then maybe if you have some customers playing with you, you can also play with them in this way. So you can see here that the highest cost was taken into consideration when running the simulation. Then we support, on top of the lowest cost, we add quality based thresholds. Then you can filter things like ASR, ACD, TCD, which we named it as a total call duration, ACC, like average call cost, or TCC, total call cost. You can all do selection of this or minimum maximum by filling them inside this serialized structure. And based on that, you can see that there was here only one supplier selected, because only this supplier was matching the thresholds which we have set in the. By the way, these are for real. I've done it yesterday for preparing this slide. So everything is operational in our code now. So yeah, this will be an important thing, because you get your normal LCR, but you can also specify things like, I just want to use the suppliers which are having ASR higher than 30% or ACD higher than 30 seconds. And even you can combine them. So you can do at one end between them. So they all need to match your thresholds in order to take into consideration, to be taken into consideration. The last strategy, it's purely QoS. So if you have like something like retail traffic, you will be interested not about the price, but about the quality. So the system will automatically, as you see here, there are no parameters, and the system will automatically order your suppliers based on quality. So if they get like the first, what we check, I think it's ASR. If ASR is the same for 2 different suppliers, it will go checking ACD and so on, and it will take further decisions on that. So this is strictly based on QoS. Then just about Kamailio integration, you have 2 ways of using LCR. Integrated or in your authorization request, which are also for prepaid calls, or if you don't want to use our rating, you can simply use the second option, which is a separate LCR request. So you just use the LCR functionality from CGRateS. And as a reply, you can see that you will get a pseudo variable, which will be a list of string tags, which you can further use in your decisions. So it's very simple to separate them and further use the information in the script, since they are comma separated. Yeah, I was fast this time, so if any questions, I made it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? List cost routing with CGRateS. A question from my side then.
Always the hard ones.
Is it still like a big demand on the like list cost routing out there, given that the prices kind of went down, and then probably the termination provider consolidated the market, like buying one each other, and there are not many of them. But I guess it still matters the margin on the volume, right? So well, how you see it?
It depends. It depends, of course, of your business profile. But I would say it matters. Where it could matter is in things like quality-related stats. So you can even if price does not matter for you, but quality matters, you can still order your suppliers based on the quality. And another place where it could matter is that you get all sort of flat stuff in lately, all sort of bundles from suppliers, but only for specific prefixes. So due to that, you will be able to use via the LCR this functionality. So you only route some of the, where you have bundles, you only can route some of the traffic to some of the suppliers. And as I told you, if you have retail business, the quality would make sense.
Yes. Thank you. Other question? We have one there.
Yes.
When you're doing least cost route, what if, thank you. What if you have some that are lower, but you have higher prices, but you have a minimum, like you've got $1,000 you got to pay? You know what I mean? Because like some of our suppliers have minimums, even though they're higher, so you have to pay minimum amount. Other ones might be cheaper, but they don't have a minimum. I don't want to go to the cheapest one. I want to hit the minimum until I hit that threshold and then go to the cheaper route?
Yeah, well, you can play that with the balances which we have, because you can set in the balances that one balance is active until some specific number, and the other will be active after another number. So you only select, if your first one is very expensive, you only select the second one in your list cost routing. So it's able to cope with these differences by using bundles and balances.
Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you very much.